All right. I was gonna record I was gonna make that video about Lao Galung. It looks like that's not gonna happen. So, that's all right. Whatever. Instead, I'll go ahead and do something called Warlordism and Spengler. And I think that there's this whole thing of decline of the West and all that sort of thing, and things going in cycles. Other British intellectuals have brought this up. But I think that this is just part of the cycle that the United States has to go through. And I think that we are headed towards warlordism, not more fascism or whatever the case may be. I don't even think most Americans really understand what more fascism is. I mean, that would have to require a vision, a genuine vision of what America should be. And most Americans don't have that. They don't have a vision of what we should be. It's like beat China. That's really the only goal that's out there, right? It's beat China and keep getting fat. That's really the goal of the United States, right? It's get fat and fill yourself up. So I think warlordism is far more realistic. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think that the U.S. is headed more towards a 1920s, 1930s China, where the country was ruled by warlords. You had people like Yuan Shikai. You had the various Ma. You had the Ma clique. People like Ma Bufang, for example, who was kind of proto-socialistic in some ways. Was a legitimate Sunni Muslim. I think that that's what the United States is heading towards. I think that warlordism is what we are headed for. Balkanization, yes, but also a warlordism that will rule certain areas, right? You're going to have some military vets, somebody who is a general or whatever the case may be, who will rule this area or that area. But I think this is what's going to happen. What's going on, Mad Baron? But I do think that's what's going to occur. And this is a cycle that I think the United States has avoided for a good long time. The American Empire has avoided, many, many catastrophes that happened over, in the course of history, in the past, what is it? I mean, you want to say 1776. So, I mean, in the past, 245 years? Is that right? I'm going to say 245. Let me make sure. Let me check my math here. I know people always mention 1776. Yeah, 245 years. Okay, my math isn't off. Okay. But yeah, 245 years. This country, while it's had little rebellions here and there, like the Whiskey Rebellion, or you've had the rebellions in the I can't think of it, but like West Virginia, stuff like that. We haven't had a massive rebellion that occurred. I think that I'm going to see. Oh, screw it. Let's go ahead and just go over this Coke video from Jacobin. Corporations didn't co-opt Black Lives Matter. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. That is cute. Oh, I can't find. God damn it. Okay, well, to hell with that then. I was going to respond to it, but I can't find my headphones. Okay. Forget it. It was just going to be a long, pointless. It was probably going to be like 30 minutes of me bullshitting, so I'm not going to do that. Anywho. The thing is that, we had these riots last summer. Of course, people will say, oh, it was all organic, this and that. Yeah, but the thing is, it got co-opted. The Democrats took that energy. They've already swallowed that energy up. You can't take it. that energy has already been given. I'm trying to say this in a more actual thermodynamic sense. You cannot destroy energy, but it has to go somewhere. And that energy went to the Democratic Party because they took advantage of it. They used it as campaign slogans so that they could, get their support. Now, of course, like I said, there's so many polls that say, well, it was, Trump lost due to COVID or Trump lost due to the riots or whichever. Like I said, there are numerous things. I'm not going to sit here and carry water for a Trump. The thing is that we see a country that I think will break apart. And I think there are so many folks. I'm listening to Chris Hedges, and it's just like, I don't give a fuck about Chris Hedges. Some Christian anarchist sort of guy who talks about Christo fascism, this and that. I can't, every time I try to take him seriously, as opposed to, people like Vosh and whatnot, it's like they're just retards. They're both just morons on the same coin, basically. They both think that America is going to turn into a fascist nation. It's like I thought that America was already fascist. But the thing is, though, to think that the whole of the United States is going to give in is bullshit to me. The fact is that even with Hitler, you had the Gleichschaltung, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Gleichschaltung, which is the coordination process of Nazification by which Hitler and the Nazi Party successfully established a system of totalitarian control and coordination over all aspects of German society and societies by occupied Germany. The thing is that there's no Gleichschaltung, or is it Gleichschaltung? Es tut mir leid für mein Deutsch. Basically, the coordination between these various areas. Whether it's between Prussia, or Bavaria, Thuringia, Saxony, Saar, Württemberg, Baden, all of these different areas, that's not, like I say, you have to get that sort of power. Christo fascism. Exactly. Why can't they just say fascist? But they can't do that. They have to put the misnomer, they have to put the prefix on there to show their loyalties. It's the same thing with Islamofascism, right? These cope words. Hello, Temujin. How's it going? I was going to say, I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you. I think that the U.S. will just simply break apart. There will be some areas that will resist. I genuinely think that. I think that some areas will resist, and they will not hold, and they will not bend to whatever future potential fascist that's going to take over. And they're all saying, oh, well, eventually we're going to get a competent fascist. Is that Trump was just an incompetent fascist? And it's just like, who? I know people are going to say, oh, but we don't know who it is yet. And it's just like, the thing is, that's just fear-mongering. It's just like, you can't compare everything to Germany, okay? Compare things to China. Like I said, and that's what I think is going to happen in the United States. I think that the United States and China are simply trading places. I think that's it. U.S. and China are simply trading places. China in, the 1920s, apart from bigger cities like Shanghai or Hong Kong, this and that, it was a very rough place. You had a lot of drug dealers. You had, for example, the Green Gang under Big Ear Du Yusheng, who ran Shanghai and worked with the Kuomintang, So I think that's what's going to occur in the United States. Yeah, Berlin was still a city of sin under no-noism. Yeah, until the cleansing of Berlin by the Red Army. Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Berlin deserved to be destroyed. I will say that. But I think the United States, it's not that you can't make the simple characterization that, oh, America is like Weimar Germany. It's like, I think even to a point, Wignats have given that up. White nationalists have given up that thing. I think that in reality, I think the United States, maybe in more of a 1911 fall of the Qing dynasty sort of sense. I do. I think that that's a better comparison of what's going on in the United States than this comparison of, oh, Nazi Germany. No, there isn't. Like I say, the thing is that even people like Vosh have pointed this out, and I think it's correct, where the military does not support white nationalism. They don't support, they're simply tools of the system. And they'll show their loyalty to that system. There may be individuals who kind of hold some cringe beliefs or something like, or, they may be like, Mokekistan or whatever, but it's like in general, the brass, you're what, 04s and above? They don't care about that. They're concerned about a career. They're concerned about, saying BLM so that they don't get, so they don't get fired. That's the whole thing. It is a business. The United States military is a business. And it's something that if you do good enough as a lieutenant colonel or something else like that, and, let's say if you've learned enough about the technology of it, and you can get hired on at, Raytheon or whatever the case may be. This is the same thing that happened to General, what's his name? What's the name? Is this the Secretary of State's guy? Not him. Oh, no, that's Blinken. Secretary, well, maybe. Secretary of State, U.S. It's Blinken, but there's another guy. Oh, man, I can't think of it now. Young Jichi. Yeah, that's the guy that they met with. God damn it. Oh, I can't think of it. But there was a general who did work for Raytheon, but yet he still got hired. I can't think of it. It's going to bother the hell out of me. But anyway, yeah. I'm not defending any rape that happened, but the first Red Army divisions were not the perpetrators. Yeah. Yep, that is true. That is true. The first divisions warned German civilians to watch out. I think, yeah, that's true. That is true. It was all the followers that came along that had 10 or 12 watches on their arm. And, oh, yeah. Yeah, the folks who were, like I said, there's a whole bunch of Wignat stuff I could talk about, but I'm not going to do that. So, but I do want to say, I think that's what's going to happen with the United States, is warlordism. Simple as that. I don't think that there's some unified idea of America. I genuinely don't think that. I genuinely do not think that. Oh yeah, there's some idealized version that everybody has. It's just like, oh, I genuinely don't think that. There is a battle that is going on, that is raging between old school millionaires versus new school. I think there's a lot of folks who are ranchers, this and that, who are upset because this system does not represent them. And I think there are more woke millionaires who are making their money off of technology who are fighting against the old school ones, fighting against the ranchers, the folks that have all this land and everything. They both, the thing is that old school and new school, they both agree that yeah, we should both have land, but what do we do with that land? That's the whole thing. Some people say, yeah, we need to, have bison or whatever the case may be, and at least give some lip service to some sort of American nationalism. Whereas the new school folks are like, no, we need to be internationalists. We don't want to show our racist things, and we want to be able to, take the mask off America and show how racist we are. And I think that's the battle that's going on right now. So we're going to see who's going to win that. And I think in many ways, this is going to be one aspect of warlordism. Despotism, if you will. Like I said, people throw around these words and they make it seem like they're all the same thing, like fascism, warlordism, or, these are all the same. It's like, no, they all have, Blair Mountain. Yeah, Blair Mountain is one. Yeah. I guess what was I going to finish off with? I guess I was just going to say is we see that this country, is slowing down. Not to a grinding halt, but I think that apart from most, there are some fields that are still growing and still thriving, but for the most part, most of them have slowed down immensely. And while people can go ahead and complain about the economy, that they can't get enough people, this and that, I think we will see a country that will fall into a form of warlordism. So what does warlordism mean, in my opinion? Well, a big claim for copyright. Well, let me take a look here. Let me take a look. Well, what does warlordism mean? I'll go ahead and finish up with that. What does warlordism mean? Well, to me, warlordism means that, yeah, there is a leader, I guess you could say, but it's only for a certain area, and it's much more based on give me loyalty and I'll leave you alone. That sort of thing, right? That's what warlordism means to me. It's this idea that, yeah, I don't inherently care about what happens to you. As long as you give me enough money, then I don't care. That's my opinion. Which can be a form of despotism, but and that's my opinion anyway. It's like there's not much to complain about with that sort of thing. Generally speaking, warlords come and go. And I think that's what's going to occur with the United States. Sorry for the double audio. There we go. Oh boy. Yeah, we're going to get copyright stricken if we do that. Yeah. Surrender in Berlin. Yeah. That's a good scene, though. That one guy killed himself. Yeah. That guy kills himself. Yeah, all these folks killed themselves, and then and then the rest surrender. Yep. I think that the difference is, in my opinion, there's a lot of folks who give like the whole, they present their Red Dawn fanfic. They give their Red Dawn fanfic of what's going to happen in the United States. Like, oh man, dude, China and Russia are going to come in, bro, and they're going to enslave the American population. I don't think China and Russia at first will get involved. This is, maybe this would be a big mistake on my part. People will be like, he was a retard for that, but I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think that China and Russia will be glad, in my opinion anyway, that they don't have to fight the United States anymore. And so China will simply go into markets that they couldn't take up when the United States was here. And I think Russia will do the same. So I mean, the Belt and Road Initiative will continue on. The so-called Silk Road will continue on. And I think China will continue to build up those centers. Now, the thing is, you could see a potential. I'm going to make a very bad comparison, but I'm going to do it nonetheless. Kind of like I'm trying to think of the name of it now. The Polish city. Oh, I'm trying to think. But anyway, there could be a potential that China will be like, we have to protect the Chinese diaspora in the United States. That could happen. I'm not sure if it would. But I do have a feeling that it could be more like a... oh, man. It's going to bug the hell out of me thinking about it. Polish cities destroyed. World War II. Damage in World War II. Let me see here. Danzig. That's it. Danzig. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Atlanticism is on the decline. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Atlanticism is on the decline. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, people can go ahead and say, same thing with China. I mean, people could talk about the Sassoon family being deeply entrenched in China. And you could talk about the rise of China is due to American investors. I don't doubt that. I genuinely don't doubt that. The thing is, though, is that I imagine that the Chinese would be the same way as, the Germans were, under Hitler, right? Where it's like, yeah, thank you for helping us get this money, but now get the fuck out, I mean, that's my take on it anyway. So I mean, it's the same thing when you see this stuff. Oh well, Israel controls Russia. This and that. It's just like I saw that. I mean, that's some real spurgy shit. But basically, I see more of a Danzig situation that could occur in like San Francisco, maybe. I mean, people point to San Francisco. I mean, that's got a fairly large Chinatown, but you could point to other Chinese diaspora areas in the United States. You know, for example, maybe New York City to a point. But I mean, to me, this, you know, that could happen, but it's kind of that's a way out there sort of, probably won't happen sort of thing, in my opinion. But that's my feeling about it. That's my opinion on that. I think the United States will, you know, there's no coordination, I think, between these various areas. I think that these places will just, they have so much hatred for one another that they are willing to let it break apart. I genuinely think that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I genuinely think that there is no unity in this country. And I think that, you know, it could be based on baseball, it could be based on whatever you want to, but there will be places for coastal elites. I know that people use that a little too often, but I think that there will be coastal elites. There will be certain areas that are much more, that want to fight against more fascism, and other areas that will simply give in and say, yeah, we want a better system, you know? It doesn't matter how they got there, they got there. Yeah, purity spiralers will always complain. That's true. That is true. Yeah, China simply returned to tradition. It simply returned to the place that it had been. And the United States had their place, and now they're leaving that place. They may come back, but I think that in the whole scheme of things, if we want to look at this in a fairly academic way, which is what I'm trying to do, is that the United States needs to have a balkanization, a warlordism, to say, yeah, this is what's going to happen, you know, and then whatever force, whether it's some sort of communist force, whether it's some sort of fascist force, whatever the case may be, is the force that's going to reunite whatever is left of this country. But the thing is, like I say, the U.S. has been spared those things. China went through so many different breakups and rebellions and everything else, and split ups and conquerings and everything else. The United States, for all the bad that it's occurred, has been able to control the population enough so that it doesn't have the same split ups that China did. They've been able to avoid that. You know, the United States has. But I think that you know, we're seeing the system break down, whether you want to blame COVID, whether you want to blame the big lie about Trump. The factors are meaningless in general to me. They're meaningless. To the people, they mean something. But to me, they're meaningless because ultimately it's just the cycle of history. That's all it is. And so the U.S. will break apart, in my opinion. It will break apart. There will be warlords. Who they are is whatever history will decide. And, you know, we may have possible invasions from China and Russia, but I think that China and Russia will be smart enough to use proxies. They'll find armies, you know, of, you know, Americans who hate the system. So China and Russia give them supplies. Because I genuinely don't think, even if we break apart, the idea of the United States will stay around. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The idea of it won't die necessarily, but I do think, you know, various areas I think will go into disrepair and others will still flourish. You know, it's like, yeah, California, as much as shit as I talk about it, because nobody likes California, but realistically, California will still be a place, and specifically places like Los Angeles and San Francisco and all these coastal cities, they'll be relatively okay. They'll make trade with China, and they will have maybe sort of a renaissance, if you will, because now we've seen San Francisco, of course, fall into disrepair. And I think that once the Chinese come in, you're gonna get you're gonna get some hardcore like authoritarianism coming in, which I think ironically will be a good thing for San Francisco. But yeah, I think that's what's going to occur. And other places will be forgotten. They will become backwaters. It's like Texas. Oh, I'm not sure, but I would say Texas in general will become a backwater. Mississippi will continue to fall into disrepair as it has. You'll probably get maybe an element of like a black separatist movement, a genuine one that will occur. Maybe they'll get Tariq Nasheed and then kill him off later when they find out he's a LARPer. But I think that, you will get maybe a new Africa in the South. Like I said, I know that people have gone over this for years and they hate the comparisons, like, but, like I say, if Europe couldn't survive as one thing, and if China has had hundreds of rebellions, why wouldn't it occur in the United States? That's the real question, isn't it? Why wouldn't it occur in the United States? The 100 Years' War or the War of Roses or all these other wars that occurred in the European continent, the wars in China, between the Qin dynasty or the Ming dynasty versus the Qing dynasty, et cetera, versus, or Cao Cao versus, Guang Yu, the red-faced general. Why wouldn't that occur? Why has the U.S. been spared? What has really kept this thing together? I mean, just, I guess just a common language and a common, is that everyone has had a fairly cushy bottom, so that when they do fall, that's the real question, right? Maybe people have been stupefied by propaganda. That's probably it too. I have a video if you want to react. Well, let me take a look. Let's take a check here. Let's take a check on what I should react to. Let's see what we got here. Let me see. Because I can't find my headphones, which is unfortunate. I'll probably have to find another pair. Let me see what this is right quick here. Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Oh, yeah. I've seen this. Yeah, it's a pretty funny clip. The thing, what's funny about that, though, is that guy, that Kanzik guy that he was arguing with, used to be part of that group with Kevin Castley. But since then, because he was, too much of a conservative for Kevin Castley, he was kind of kicked out of that group. I know way too much about that shit where I shouldn't, but yeah, it's hilarious to see. Yeah, the split ups of it, yeah. Up your grind set, yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. What I was going to finish up on my point is that why has the U.S. hasn't had the large-scale uprisings that occurred in China or occurred in Europe, which broke out into larger wars? That's a real question, isn't it? I mean, you can go ahead and talk about Nat Turner's rebellion in slavery, in the era of slavery in the South. You could talk about the Whiskey Rebellion. You could talk about, these protests that occurred over last summer, but they never really went anywhere. They did their little bit, and then it ended. Eventually you got to sit down after an uprising, right? That's how I feel about it. I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? Why hasn't the U.S. had more uprisings? For all the talk of folks who say, if they take our guns, we're going to fight, you haven't done shit because you still love the government. You still love my government. You still want America because they hold democracy. And a lot of the time they compare, I mean, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Democracy is not electoralism necessarily, right? Just because they allow you to vote does not mean it's democracy. I think there are genuine people who really don't understand the difference. Just because you're allowed to vote does not mean it's a democracy. Just because I mean, I would argue, to a point, these meetings or these town halls that have occurred, it's like, yeah, the UK still has that. It's like, you think that's democracy? Yeah, Shays Rebellion. Yeah. The South during the Civil War. Yeah, exactly. I think it's ridiculous, if I'm being honest with you. I do. When you see these folks who are just like, yeah, we're going to, have a rebellion or something like that. If you continue to take our guns, it's like, but they still love the system. And these boomers, what are they going to do to genuinely fight back? Because they're too individualist. I guess you could say it's the propaganda. I guess, I mean, for lack of research or anything else, I guess I would just say that people are stupefied by propaganda. And that boomers are so stupefied by that they're still willing to believe that this system is democratic and still holds their values of, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever. But it's like, that system is dead. In my opinion, it's dead. It's long dead. Live comfortable lives, at least materially. Yeah, I think that's true too. I guess this is where, like Jason Unruh, why he became a third world. It's because, like, the first world has very little potential for revolution. It's just like, but of course, even then, he'll shit on the Philippines because they haven't had a good revolution. I don't even care about Jason Unruh. I think he's cringe, generally speaking. But that's how I feel about it. I think that once this economy goes bust, I think that certain areas will just start to break off, and certain areas will. I genuinely do think that, a state like California, if you want to believe all the propaganda, where it's like, if California is so strong, then why don't they cut deals with China and say, hey, China, why don't you come in and take over certain parts of it, and then we can get some help, right? Why wouldn't they do that? I don't know. Yeah, we don't have a common identity. Localized uprisings are common around the world, but we only have them. We don't care about our fellow citizens unless it has. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess I'll admittedly backpedal on that. We don't have a common identity. I think that we've tried to portray that with, like, McDonald's in every city or IHOP or something like that. But I think, yeah, generally speaking, we don't have a common identity. Yeah, you're right, Temujin. I don't know. I think I've ranted and raved long enough on this point. I've repeated some points, as I always do, but I think it's something worth thinking about. I go back and forth on this idea, but I'm trying to expand my yeah. But it's a catchy one. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Let me see what we got here with this. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. I Have a Gun. Yeah, Chinese nationalist song. Pretty neat. Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff you could talk about with Kuomintang, this and that, and saying how good or bad it was. But, yeah, there's no... Yeah. I don't know. It's a real question, isn't it? Yeah. Hail Greater New England. Yeah. Or hyphenated Americans. Yeah, we are. That is true. There are African Americans, or there are Lebanese Americans, or European Americans, or whatever. Yeah. They don't really have they have dual loyalty, right? or Jewish Americans. I know. Oh, he said it. He said it. I know. Or African American or what. I think I said that already. But yeah, there's not a loyalty to this country. It's just more of a loyalty to the economic system. I think that's really what it is. There's a loyalty to this economic system and what it can provide, but there's not a loyalty to the country itself. I think that's the truth. There isn't an outright loyalty to the American people because I guess we're all too stupefied and fat and lazy. But we're loyal to the system because of how much money you can get from the stock market or, the ease of use of Amazon or whatever the case may be, right? There's a loyalty to that. But to the system itself and to the people, there's none of that. You think that's true? I don't know, yeah. Or Irish, German, Italian Americans. That's true too, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting kind of sleepy. I should probably get in the shower here. My mom wants to leave pretty soon, at least for a little bit, come back. I think that's all I had to rant and rave on. There's some videos I want to watch too about, let me see here, how Marriott became the biggest hotel in the world and what's next for the hotel giant. That's mildly interesting. It looks pretty interesting. Oh well. Let me see what this is. It's probably a shorty video. But yeah, I think that's about it though, really. I think I've pretty much said my piece on that. Yep. You have a good day as well, Gold Vivek. You have a good day as well. I think that's all I have to say on that though. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Yeah, I guess I'll just end it as I always do. See you later and goodbye. Oh, being in German was only an idea at one point in history. We haven't been around long enough. Is different though. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, 1871. With Bismarck uniting Germany, and then of course fighting the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So I mean, there's this difference where it's like the Austrians aren't German, this and that, even though they're kind of culturally German. Yeah, it's just, and it is a different language, but yeah, I think that's, yeah, you do have a point on that. Yeah. Yep. See you later. That is true though. There isn't really, yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think maybe I was a little bit too idealistic in that point. So apologies for that. Anywho, I think I'll keep it there. See you later. Goodbye.